information on prevention, tools for a healthy lifestyle. Make little changes to be the best you. It's all here. A podcast empowering, informing, and motivating Bermuda to live well. Bermuda Health-Abets. Everything from A to Z on healthy living. Brought to you by the Health Promotion and Wellness Office of the Department of Health in collaboration with local health partners.
Welcome to an episode of Bermuda Health-Abets, a podcast where we discuss everything from A to Z on healthy living with the mission of empowering, informing, and motivating Bermuda's residents to live well. I'm your host, Allison Utterbridge, public health nutritionist, nutrition services, health promotion and wellness office. Today, I'm excited to welcome Simone Barton, CEO of the Bermuda Heart Foundation. The foundation advocates for a holistic approach that goes beyond traditional health perspectives, understanding the intricate rules of environmental, familial, and genetic aspects to achieve sustainable health outcomes.
That's a mouthful.
It sure is. Simone, can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
How long do we have?
We have as long as you need, but we'd like to keep it brief if possible.
Background is, in a nutshell, I've done a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. I've had several iterations of a career. Mm-hmm. I have been a network broadcaster for ABC TV and radio in New York, a destination management organizer at Marriott, and to become director of guest services with 5 departments under my belt, 3 of which I built from the ground up. Left from there, went to wealth management, with over $500 million assets under management. Wow. Headhunted by one of my clients to take on a charity that was kind of not doing so well. Mm-hmm. And that is where I found the true evolution of purpose. All of those iterations of a careers that I had led me to where I was supposed to be, and that is at the Bermuda Heart Foundation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What a resume, right?
I feel so honored, to be in that space. So, yeah, thank you.
How long have you been now at the Bermuda Heart Foundation?
Over 15 years.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you hold what position there?
I am CEO and founder.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So today we're going to be exploring the 6 critical pillars that form the foundation of the foundation of the comprehensive health strategy. So I have a few questions to ask you for each of the pillars. How does, from the environmental aspect of things, how does our environment influence in individual health? And what steps can we take to minimize harmful exposures?
So one of the biggest things that I could suggest is looking at how many chemicals we are putting in our body. We often go to the grocery store and just pick up foods and throw it in our carts. We take products or cleaning products and, just use them very liberally. And without looking at the chemicals that are in these products and foods, and not really realizing the effects that they have on our lives. So let's take, for example, there was a point in time where everybody was using Roundup. And it came to be noted later on that Roundup was a very high cancer-causing chemical where people are now experiencing a lot of problems because they use Roundup. Or let's take it from the food perspective. If I can get anybody to do anything, I'd like them to stop utilizing foods that have high fructose corn syrup in it. That to me is a big one. If you're going to have sugar, have the real thing.
Natural sugars.
Natural sugars instead of high fructose corn syrup. Because the effect that those mass-produced products are having on our body is just an amazing factor to look at when you start drilling down into the science of it. Yeah.
So it goes back towards the ultra-processed foods and trying to decrease the amount that we
just
consume.
one quick note on that, especially here in Bermuda where we have access to British foods. A lot of the British foods do not have the amount of chemicals that the American foods do. So if we can look for more British products.
Like the waitroses.
You got it. Yes, yes.
So do you find that even in those, you're talking about the British versus the U.S., you're finding that a lot of the products that come out of the U.S. are a lot more harmful than the ones that are coming out of the British?
As everything, it depends. Like, I often advocate for frozen vegetables because a lot of people say, I can't eat healthy because I can't afford fresh. Well, fresh is different if it is frozen at the peak of its perfection, like the Green Giant says. We live on an island, and a lot of our fruits and vegetables are shipped to us. That means they come from the farm, they go on a truck, they stay in a warehouse, it comes over on a ship. By the time it gets to us, it has lost most of its nutritional value. So in comparison to Green Giant, he freezes at the peak of its perfection. It's frozen, and all that ingredient list should say is water.
Right.
That's about it. There should be nothing more. So if you're looking at American frozen vegetables, I think they're pretty okay. But if you're looking at things like canned goods and bottled goods, especially with the dyes that they're putting in foods that are not allowed in British and European products.
Interesting. So you touched on the difference between imported fresh produce and locally grown fresh produce. So we know we have the Grow Eat Save program and, the gardening competition. We're trying to encourage Bermudians to grow their own vegetables. Can you touch a bit on that and the importance of it being locally grown and harvested here in Bermuda?
So what is it? Yesterday I had to go to immigration, and I came around the corner, and outside of workforce development was the gentleman.
A farmer's market.
Yes. Yeah. Girl, I put that car in park so fast.
Yeah. I've actually purchased from him a few times.
And last night I made collard greens and fresh pumpkin, and I was just so thrilled to be able to have such fresh products. We're very lucky, to be
and
able.
Fresh.
Yeah.
Not just fresh.
Fresh, straight from the ground, to us. So we have a lot of availability to do that. And especially we got to kick it back old school in a lot of perspectives because we all did. We had a little patch of land where we grew some tomatoes or some potatoes. And right now there's a gentleman out there that is doing vertical farming.
Yep.
To where he will come set up a barrel and, put your fruits, not your fruits, your vegetables and your herbs and help you grow from a barrel, which I thought was absolutely
non-traditional gardens.
Yeah. If you're landlocked and you don't have enough growing space, then this was an alternative that would be very good. Yeah, so grow.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice on the environmental aspect of it. With regards to the family history and genetic profile, what is your understanding of our genetic background and why is it crucial for sustainable health?
So, one of my biggest pet peeves is we are all, from a health perspective, gauged by the BMI. The BMI was made by a gentleman by the name of Cutelet back, I believe, in the 1800s. It was a diagnostic tool for men on the battlefield. He explicitly stated that it was never to be meant to be used as a public health tool. And I'm going to give you a reason why. We, as a society, come in all different forms, shapes, colors, backgrounds, right? I know that I come from a long line of Southern women, the big mama individuals. My Aunt Isley was she was a thick Southern woman, the type of lady that you could serve a tea service on her backside. She could walk down Front Street and she wouldn't spill a drop.
Wow.
Type of lady.
Understood.
So the thought that I could ever have thin thighs It's not
Out of the
possible.
question.
It's out of the question. And so it's the same thing for Asian women and women of color. What are we known for? We have hips. We have big breasts. We're more full and robust in our stance in comparison to Asian women who are very petite, very tiny. So how is that one tool, the BMI, supposed to accurately measure what is
body
right?
structure.
Yes.
So
So
whether
yeah,
I'm healthy, whether I'm overweight, whether I'm obese.
you got it. So we've got to be able to look at who we are and understand our not only our cultural differences, but our environmental differences, our psychosocial differences. There's a lot of things that go into weight that is just not all around diet and exercise. So knowing your family background, and, my daughter who does the Jump to Be Fit program, she's always blessed me for giving her my Aunt Isley's thighs. No matter how much she exercises, no matter what she does, she still has big thighs. Those thighs have been passed down from generations. And so we all have got to become more realistic at what is possible for us.
So based off what you're saying, it ties into the health at every size.
Yes.
It ties into
Yes.
not being so weight focused that you're looking to the next person and saying she's healthy,
Yes.
I'm unhealthy because of different body structures.
So for over 15 years, I have watched how that message of thin means healthy gets shot right out of the window. I once had a gentleman come in. He was 600 pounds, literally 600 pounds. His cholesterol was fine. His no signs of diabetes. Blood pressure was perfect. Everything was perfect except for his weight. He had an obesity problem. But I also had another woman come in. If she was 100 pounds soaking wet, that's all she was. But her markers were so off the chart. Cholesterol levels were absolutely insane. So we've got to stop thinking that an image of a person makes up their health. We're sitting up there trying to judge a book, and we haven't even opened it up to turn the page to discover the story. But we're judging that individual by what you are seeing. You don't know their stories. You don't know their background. You don't know their genetic history, if they've had medical issues. So, yeah, we need to do better than diet and exercise. It literally has been proven that skinny people do die too.
Yeah, absolutely. And
From heart disease.
they could be unfit, they could be unhealthy. So like I said, it goes back to the approach as opposed to it being a weight focused approach to it being let's achieve health.
Yes.
Regardless of size, regardless of ethnic background and those types of things. So not kind of looking at it as black and white. There's actually a lot of gray areas involved too.
Also, to bring that into focus, one of the things that I didn't realize a lot of people did not understand. I was doing a class the other day, and I was talking about Americans and the differentials between Southern individuals and maybe the ones out in the U.S. And I was talking about how we have to understand that from a history perspective, blacks were bred to be big.
To be thicker.
They actually had breeding farms for slaves where you took the big mama and the mandingo, put them together, and you would breed them because they would breed a bigger buck or a bigger female. So if that is already within our genetic
that's the
makeup,
baseline.
that's a baseline. You got it. Which is not taking into consideration when especially people of color are being judged. We put this, we're not a monolith. We're not just all one shape, one color, one background. It comes with many different tones, and we've got to be able to digest the flavors of all that we have in our society and just accept and not judge.
Yeah. And also, just piggybacking on what you're saying is talking about making sure also that from an ethnic standpoint, the difference in the environmental factors, economic factors, all of those make up the genetic makeup of a person, right? The family history, you may be more prone to diabetes if you have grandparents, great-grandparents that have had diabetes. So it's not necessarily a marker of health if you've been predisposed.
Yeah,
you see what I mean?
Absolutely. My mother, who's passed, but she used to get up every morning and go run South Shore, Horseshoe Beach. She would go swimming, whole 10 yards, but her blood pressure was through the roof on a constant basis. She was very strict about her salt, so it wasn't a matter of what she wasn't doing because she was doing all the right things. It became a management perspective. You have to manage your challenges instead of trying to overcome them, because I get a lot of people that come in and they say, oh, I don't want to take meds and I refuse to take high blood pressure meds. And I'm like, if you wear a size 6 shoe and you go to a shoe store and that size 6 shoe didn't fit, are you going to stop wearing shoes? The answer is no.
You're going to find a shoe that fits.
You're going to find a shoe that fits. And it's the same thing with medicine. Just because you got on a medicine and it gave you a bad reaction, you've got to go back to your doctor and say, look, you know what? This isn't working for me. Let's try something different. Yeah, and keep on going with those meds, because that's what makes the difference. It's a combination of the two.
Right. So moving on, pivoting towards the mental health and well-being aspect of it. How does emotional balance contribute to our overall health?
I can honestly say this is my top one. I 100% know.
As a man thinketh, so is she, right?
There you go. 100%. My thing is that change begins in the mind long before it's manifested into action. And if you are in an environment that is not mentally conducive for you to change your life, I don't care how much diet and exercise that you do, it's not going to be sustainable because your environment is not sustainable. So Maslow's theory of hierarchy basically says your foundation is your home. And if your home is not solid, where you can have peace of mind, peace of spirit in your soul, it's not going to be a grounded relationship with food, with your environment, with your job. It's not going to be what you need to be. We don't understand how much stress goes into weight.
Yeah, a lot. I think that understanding is definitely a huge deficit in our community, because even stressing about food, even stressing about diet plans causes more stress or more stress response in the body. You got it. And if we are stressing out, that weight gain, especially around your belly, your midsection, especially we as women and men both look down and go, oh my God, what the heck is that there? And you don't correlate it to the fact that you work on a stressful job, that your children are stressing you out, that your bills are stressing you out, but it's all related. Yes. Yeah. So mental health, learning how to become one with yourself, one with the universe. And healing, right? Yes. Healing from past traumas and trying to identify areas in your life that are not serving you well, things or areas that you need to, maybe a pivot is necessary. So my philosophy in life is people have got to learn how to weed their gardens. People in your life are either going to be the flowers or the weeds. And what you've got to understand is sometimes you got to pluck those weeds from your garden in order for you to grow. And even using your resources to pluck those gardens. Absolutely. Right? Because some people can't do it on their own. They need to access the resources, and the resources need to be accessible. So one of the things that I like to point to is that we live in this day and age where information is at our fingertips. The same way we shop for clothes, the same way we shop for shoes. We get on that internet and we know it's vacation time. Girl, we're shopping every single day, trying to find that best location, best thing to do while on vacation.
do the same thing for your health. Get online. You've got YouTube. You've got Google. Not Dr. Google. I'm not talking about Dr. Google. I'm talking about looking for ways to find your holistic center, looking for advice as far as learning how to become more calm in your space. So, because a lot of people especially don't want to reach out to those other people, to therapists, but you can start doing your own
self-help.
You got it. Take care of yourself.
So that is a perfect catalyst for lifestyle habits beyond diet and exercise. What lifestyle factors are essential? Or what lifestyle factors do you feel are essential for promoting sustainable health?
Well, I'm going to say number one, good sleep.
Oh wow! Say that one again. I need to know that one. I need to
Good
take
sleep.
that one. Write it down.
Yeah, when I first started with the Heart Foundation, starting a charity from the ground up has got to be one of the hardest things I've ever done, and still to this day, it's actually one of the hardest things I'm still doing. And I learned that I would go to bed and I would play it over, what I should do, what I could do, what I have to do. And it was like a bad record being played over and over and over again. So I had to learn a way to shut off my head. And in order to get some good sleep, because I was driving myself crazy. And what I discovered is that if I took my AirPod, put it in my ear, and listened to a book, it was like somebody telling me a bedtime story. And I listened to that bedtime story, which put me off to sleep, instead of allowing that never-ending cycle of stupidity run in my head. So I would say good quality sleep is highly important. So that is one of
What duration are you recommending?
I would not put a frame around it because everybody's different. And I would not want to say you got to have 8 hours. I'm somebody that needs at least 10.
So the quality of it is the important one. That's what we're stressing.
Yeah, the quality is more important. Stress management, huge. And there's a lot going on from, sound waves, ways to bring down your stress, to aromatherapy, which is a great one. One of my secrets that I use is that when I was in contentious meetings and you saw me rip out some fragrant lotion, you knew that
aromatherapy.
It was my way of calming myself down, was because you start smelling good smells. It brings you down. It makes you more grounded, and something you can do in a moment by sitting in an office. Nobody's going to suspect that you are
grounding yourself. Interesting. That's huge, right? Stress management. I think so many of us struggle with that because, for one, many of us don't even know that we're stressed.
Yeah.
We don't know or can't identify the factors in our lives that are causing us stress either. And obviously we all know that stress is a risk factor for a lot of other health concerns like stroke and those types of things. Are there any other ones that you can think
Learning,
of?
again, like I said, we have to be our biggest advocates. We have got to be the ones that go out and look for ways to heal, like you said, the traumas in our lives. My mother used to say, when you're 3 times 7, if you can point to anybody for anything in your life, then it's you, not they, that are having the problem. Because as you're pointing your finger at somebody else, you've got a whole bunch of fingers pointing right back at yourself. You have to take personal accountability for your actions. It's no longer anybody else's responsibility. Once you have turned 21, get out there and know thyself. Learn about yourself and evolve, because a lot of us get stuck on stupid. And we have got to learn how to evolve.
That's awesome advice. Awesome advice. Moving towards the social and economic factors, how do these broader life circumstances impact our health?
So one of the things at our center we focus on making sure that we build a social environment. Back in the day, we would, I remember the days when, Christmas Eve, we would all jump in the car and we would go hop around from house to house. And, it was that social connection that we had with our friends, our families. It was just a fun time watching all the cars driving throughout all the neighborhoods on Christmas Eve and on Boxing Day. But as we have progressed, we've become very isolated. And being in isolation really has a negative effect on health, especially as we age. We have to learn how to be active in our aging process. And a lot of times, our seniors are not active. And so you have to give an environment where they can be social. And the churches fill a great role in that environment by pulling the seniors.
They are able to serve.
Yeah, but they need to have more. We all need to have more. We're staying in our house too much. We're
connected to our devices.
Yeah, back in the day, somebody knocked at the door. We were like, "Hey, how's it going? Come on in." Today, when somebody knocks on the door, it's like, "Who the heck is that?"
Who is that? Why are they coming in unannounced?
Yeah, why are they coming?
This is unexpected.
So those things that we take for granted are literally the foundation of our psychosocial environment that needs to be stimulated once again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Call that friend. Go out for, a walk. Go to the farmer's market together. Just simple things. It doesn't have to be much,
Building community or keeping in contact with community.
Yeah.
So many of us get so, preoccupied with our lives, the routine of, taking care of children or, managing work-life balance, trying to exercise. So the social interactions always kind of go at the bottom of that priority list.
So
right?
on that one, I once had a friend, her name is Joy. Joy had a horse. And she would have to every day get up and go tend to that horse. And it was such an arduous labor for her. And one day I looked at her and I said, "Joy, why in the heck don't you sell the horse? If it's causing you this many problems, why don't you sell it?" And she says, "Because it makes me accountable for somebody else beside myself. It gets me outside of my house. I cannot tell the horse, no, I'm not coming to feed you today. No, I'm not going to come groom you. No, you're not going to get any water." It forces me to do things. So we need to look at avenues that we could create to be like Joy, to find something that we have to do because it pulls us out of our routine of life that can become so mundane. And that's the other side. It becomes so mundane that you become depressed.
Yeah. The repetition kills us.
100%.
I understand. That is very good information. And you spoke about our education and being educated early and being aware of the environment, but also self-aware. Why is continuous learning the key to maintaining long-term well-being?
Good one. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple. So, 10,000 steps. What is that?
What do you mean?
The saying 10,000 steps.
The amount that you're supposed to take in a day.
Do you know that was a advertising tool by Seiko watches?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It was discovered for, it was a marketing plan during the Olympics. They had all these watches that they needed to get rid of, and they came up with the 10,000 steps. It's not a health-based analogy. It was a marketing plan.
Wow.
You learn that through education. I'll give you another one. We got into a huge thing back in the 70s and 80s where it was fat equals what?
Unhealthy.
Right? That fat equals fat, and that if you eat fat, you're going to get fat. And so we went through a whole big marketing thing of removing fat.
Fat everywhere.
But there is a gentleman by the name of Ansel Keys. Ansel Keys did a study, And this study went all around the world and said, okay, this is what makes people fat is by eating fat. And New York Times did a study and they published it and it went viral. It went absolutely insane. But it was about maybe 10 years later that it came out that Ansel Keys lied, that there was no direct correlation between the fat that you eat and the fat that you have within your body, that, you know, his data was skewed. And so we've got a lot of things within our society that
Fad diets and
that we believe are the gospel, and they're not. And so when you begin to learn these things, it's almost like taking off a coat. You know, you begin to realize that this stuff is marketing. And, you know, that somebody has a mission. You know, the diet industry is not a, $200 billion industry because everybody's getting skinny. It's a $200 billion industry because we're buying into false information that is only making us fatter. That's all it's doing is keeping us in a vicious cycle. So that's why at the Heart Foundation, we really want to focus on holistic health.
And educating.
Yes.
Educating. I think it's very important, based off what you're saying, to recognize that the knowledge deficit, especially in the Bermudian community, is huge.
Yeah.
You know, you have people not only struggling economically, but struggling mentally and physically to try to grasp or hold on to something that is sustainable. You know, something that they're able to maintain. And there's so many things that kind of go through our heads, like, should I be doing this? And then we're so easy to pivot. It's so easy to pivot and jump all over the place. And next thing you know, you spent 5 years chasing fads and you haven't seen any progress.
100%.
You spent all of this money buying into the marketing schemes, like you said. So, you know, encouraging the public to do their research, actually dive deeper into trying to find the truth, as opposed to saying, oh, they told me that coconut oil is everything. I should put coconut oil on everything. You know what I mean? So
when I
really
first started trying to get support for even building our prevention and rehab center, I went around to a couple of local doctors who just said, no, it's not going to work. Prevention would never work in Bermuda because Bermudians don't want to give up their 3-piece and a biscuit. And I listened to that comment from this doctor, and I said, well, why should they have to give it up? They shouldn't have to give it up. What they need to do is learn how to put it in moderation and balance.
How to build a plate to incorporate the things that we still love.
Yeah, or
I think over restriction is definitely something
it's a killer.
That Bermudians are like, no. You know, if the list of things I can't eat is longer than the list of things I can eat, I'm not gonna comply.
Or telling somebody they've got to eat bulgur wheat and cottage cheese,
and it's not appealing.
Oh. You know, we at the foundation, we focus on the Pareto principle. And the Pareto principle says 80% of your life, you do what you know that you need to do. I tell people all the time, you're 3 times 7, you're over 21. You know you're not supposed to be sitting up there eating cassava pie every single solitary day of the week. When you go to that buffet line, leave that cassava pie alone. So let's just say Pareto principle says 80-20. 80% of your life, you do what you're supposed to do. 20% of your life, not so much. And I don't even call it a cheat day because that gives you
a part of a healthy diet.
It's just a part of a well-balanced life. Yes.
So balance.
Balance and moderation.
Balance and moderation, education and awareness.
There you go. You got it.
What service can people access at the Bermuda Heart Foundation? And how can they get in contact with the organization? So
I want to say a big thank you to our insurers. Bermuda is the only country that has a preventative program, our program at CORE, where we get out in front of disease and we don't have to wait for disease to happen before your insurance kicks in. So prevention is better than a cure. So at our center, you're able to come We give you, your insurance pays for 23 sessions. The charity gives you a total of 23. At our center, you're going to have nutritional counseling. You're going to be assessed by a nurse, a cardiologist if you need it, and then you're taken through a gradiated exercise program, because that's what a lot of us are missing, is that exercise piece, which a lot of people are fearful of.
Or the support around exercise.
And right, to have the support around it, and so that's when I was telling you about that social environment. We've got this beautiful gym on, we're located in the Dallas building on the 5th floor. And so when people come into our gym, it's light, it's airy. It's a gym for regular people. It's not the place where you're going to see the big burly guys, bulking up on the weights, or the girls with the thongs up the backside. This is for your everyday people that just want to become healthy. And so you come to us, and we help you get to where you need to be.
Is there specific criteria for being able to access your
Sure.
core?
You do not need to have a physician referral, but you do have to have a marker. So it's both cardiac prevention and rehab, which means you don't need to be a cardiac patient. It could be diabetes. It could be a kidney. Any type of medical issue, we can help you. Even if you're going to surgery and you need to become stronger before you go to surgery, we can help you. Or if you have had cardiac issues, come on in. So also, you got to have a family history. One of the things that when I first opened, I didn't want to take people that were depressed because I thought it was outside of our remit. But what I found, exercise is really such a good mechanism for handling a lot of issues. I had this young lady that came in. She was highly depressed, but she was with an insurance company that helped us get started. So I let her come on in, and I watched as she went through the exercise portion of our program, and she just blossomed. And so, come on in and talk to us, and see how we can fit. So before anybody can actually go through the program, they have to be assessed by a nurse, and that nurse will do a baseline, and it's through that baseline that says whether or not you're right fit for our program. So we're not looking for the ones that have the gym in the building that knows how to utilize it.
Yeah, I just want to go to the gym.
Right. We're looking for those ones that have the gym in the building and don't use it.
Right. Is the program a specific time frame, or?
We're there from 7 to 7.
No, I mean, once a client enters the program, is it 9 weeks long, or is it?
It's roughly about 3 months.
3 months long, okay.
It's roughly about 3 months.
Okay, awesome.
And the biggest thing about that is that our program, it's basically word of mouth. We have been at it for 15 years. The word of mouth about the program and the people that come back just lets us know that we're hitting our mark, and we're doing exactly what we are supposed to do. And that's getting out in front of disease and supporting those that needs our help.
Excellent.
Yeah, very excited about it.
This conversation has made me excited about it.
Now you're going to come and pay us a visit and see our center.
If you had to leave our audience with an important tidbit before we go, what would it be?
So, I would say, rise when you can, love what you have, and dance even though the note has not been played.
Wow, that's very profound.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barton, for coming in, sharing your wealth of knowledge. Thank you to our listeners, the Bermuda Health-Abets, for tuning in to another episode of Bermuda Health-Abets, which today featured Ms. Simone Barton, the CEO of the Bermuda Heart Foundation. So this is a podcast where we discuss everything from A to Z on healthy living. To our listeners, if you have a question that you need answering, or a topic that you're interested in, like to hear on the Health-Abets, please email healthpromotion@gov.bm. To find more episodes of the Bermuda Health-Abets, go to our Department of Health's Facebook page or our YouTube channel at Department of Health Bermuda, and like and subscribe. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
You have been listening to Bermuda Health-Abets. Please note, anything you heard on this podcast is not a substitute for visiting your healthcare provider. If you have a topic or want a question answered, please contact the Health Promotion and Wellness Office of the Department of Health by emailing healthpromotion@gov.bm or by calling 278-4900. Be sure to listen out for the next episode of Bermuda Health-Abets.